has taken over. Let's go. It's Ferrall. Coast to coast. Steaks, chicks, stacks. You and I are going to make a lot of money. It's Ferrall, coast to coast.
It shows how old we are that I had to go back in time in the space time travel machine Mafia has in the back of the SportsGrid studios to remember this guy from the ticket in Dallas. And I never knew that Rich Phillips did the SMU games because I wasn't that tuned into Dallas other than being on the radio there. I was on there every day, forever, great station. And then where did he take me, Mafia? What was that place you took me for barbecue in Dallas? Do you remember what that town was called? What was it called?
Where we had the party at?
Well, no, so Mafia took me to some place, a barbecue place that was legendary in Dallas. And I forget what the name of the
that doesn't narrow it down. That doesn't narrow it down here,
Mafia
man.
should remember this. He's going to look it up, hopefully, and remember it by the time we're done. But Rich Phillips calls SMU games down in Dallas. Rich, it's great to see you. It's been forever. I actually, I bet on SMU last week. And, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so I kind of have a little bit of an affinity for Pitt. I'm a Canes fan and I'm Indiana fan. I went to Indiana, but I like Pitt. I used to watch, Dan Marino, Tony Dorsett, and many others, Hugh Green, you name it, that played there, Siragusa, all of the greats that played at Pitt over the years. They had a great team. They were undefeated, Narduzzi, and I still thought they were going to go to Ford and get smacked because that team, SMU, means business this year, and particularly down there at Ford in Dallas.
Yeah, only loss this year was at home, but it was 3 points to a team in the top 10 now, BYU. It's been an incredible run for SMU this year, doing something that nobody else has ever done, move up from a group of 5 conference to a power conference and keep winning. Nobody had gone 2-0 in a league moving up like that. They're 4-0 now in the ACC and right there firmly entrenched with a chance to go to the conference championship game here in a few weeks.
My God, Smith ran all over him in that game. I thought the guy was going to have 200 yards.
That guy is working on getting himself paid. He was mostly a wide receiver for 3 years at Miami, transferred here to SMU. He had played for the Mustangs head coach, Rhett Lashley, when he was the offensive coordinator at Miami. So he transferred here, and they told him he's going to be a running back primarily. And he's about to have a 1,000-yard season, and he has been nothing short of outstanding. And I've been really impressed, not just with his speed, but his willingness to do the tough stuff, too, when it comes to running up the middle.
Well, you saw him, Rich, win the American last year to his team. You already knew they were good. And then they get somehow into this conference. You have to explain that to me, how that worked out, because I didn't see that coming from anywhere, let alone a mile away. That SMU was going to end up in the ACC? Seriously. And now you win the American. Now you're going to play for the ACC, it looks like, against my Canes.
Well, it's paying to play, kind of is what they're doing. They agreed to not take the football TV money for the first 9 years in the ACC as part of this move up. The other teams that moved in, Stanford and Cal, they're taking a smaller percentage, but SMU gets none of the football TV money. They don't need it, I guess, because 1 week after the announcement was made last September, they raised $100 million in donations in an effort to compete with everybody financially in the ACC, and kind of they're paying to play. They bought their way in, and now they're doing more than buying their way in. They're trying to win their way to the title game.
I mean, I know everything's bigger in Texas, and the pockets are deeper. We've seen that with Jerry Jones, what he's turned that Cowboys team into, a $10 billion monstrosity of money. I guess it's no different in college football there at Austin, at SMU. Obviously at Houston, they're paying players to play college basketball. Is that what it boils down to? It's just bigger in Texas?
Well, we like to say NIL means now it's legal around here. It's kind of what they were doing 40 years ago at SMU. It just wasn't legal back then, and they ended up getting the program shut down for a couple of years because of it. But now everybody's allowed to do it, and they've waited a long time. SMU fans have waited a long time to be back to this level from the Southwest Conference days of the early and mid-'80s. And a lot of them are willing to pay up to get there. And so far, so good.
So, I mean, that is crazy. So, how about Jennings? 306 in that game, 2 touchdowns. How good is he?
He is as calm, cool, and collected of a quarterback that you'll ever see. And we even knew that about him 2 years ago when he was a true freshman. He got thrown into a game when he was the third stringer because the starter was hurt and the backup got hurt in that game. And he was awesome. Helped beat Tulsa that day. Last season, he had to take over as a starter for the bowl, the conference championship game and the bowl game because of injury to the starter. And he was outstanding again. He just is a really calm kid back there in the pocket. Local kid, too, from South Dallas, who won a state title there at South Oak Cliff High School. And, man, he's been a pleasure to work with and a pleasure to watch. He just is so in command of the pocket and very in command of the team when he's on the field.
So they started, they got the lead early in this game on Johnson's TD run, and then they just blew him out. And I was surprised because I think Holstein's a good quarterback. I don't think he played like the last 10 minutes of the game, right? They took him out because it was such a blowout. And, you know, that team was trying to go to 8-0 for the first time since Dan Marino. I mean, they have been a very big surprise. I think I'm really not that surprised that SMU's good. Like I said, you knew they were good last year. They're still good.
And the reason they got there last year is because while they get so much credit for their offense, their defense was outstanding last year. They were top 25 in the nation in most major categories. And they're doing it again this year defensively. And I thought Saturday against Pitt was about the best I had seen them play, particularly in just basic things like tackling. And Pitt struggled. Pitt didn't tackle guys. And they had a receiver horizontal coming down to the ground at one point, and he winds up with a 40-yard catch and run after the play. SMU, though, wrapped guys up. They really put a ton of pressure, too, on Eli Holstein. That's why I don't think he had a very good night against him as well. Their defense really, as much as Rhett Lashley's an offensive guy, and he gets credit for that, and he should. I mean, they score 40 a game. Defensively is where they've really made the difference the last couple of years.
Is that kid Davis okay? Like, I saw him carried off the field. I was watching when he hit his head. Is that kid all right?
So we did find out he actually made it back to the stadium before the game was over. He was on the sideline for the fourth quarter, did have a cervical collar on. Like it is a lot of times nowadays, like it probably should be too. There's a lot of precautionary stuff that's done when you see shots to the head, shots to the neck, things like that. I haven't gotten any update on him yet this week. They got bye this week, so not a lot going on. But at least we know he was back from the hospital before the game ended.
So take me back to the Duke game, because that game was way wilder than the Pitt game that you won in overtime in Durham, and you had a bunch of turnovers in that game, but you still won.
Just 6. Is that a lot?
Yeah.
6 turnovers.
Did Jennings throw 5 picks?
3 picks, and he had 2 fumbles.
Yeah.
And he had 2 other fumbles, one that he recovered and one that the left guard recovered. I mean, that's a game that you look back at it and it's like 6 turnovers, and they didn't take it away once. They got no business winning that game. But Duke scored 0 points off of turnovers, including the last 3 possessions of regulation. They got the ball 3 times in SMU territory, missed a field goal, had to punt, and then on the last play of regulation, a ridiculous play by Jafari Harvey to block a 30-yard field goal, which was their only hope. And then they went on and won it in overtime. Sometimes you're living right when you're having a magical season, and that definitely was a night where they were living right.
I got 30 seconds. Do you think they can beat Miami?
Boy, I don't know. They would have a chance because their defense plays so well, and Miami has to score a ton of points to win a lot of these games. You got to see it. Cam Ward's got to do a ton to get them to a win, but it'd be a huge test. I'd love to see it. I hope I get to see it here in early December.
Real quick, 10 seconds. How's the SMU basketball team looking?
Won by about 33, I think, last night. Andy Enfield's first game, the former USC coach, getting started here with a bunch of new guys.
They got him down there with some money, too.
Yes.
Hey, Rich, it's good to see you. Congratulations on everything with the SMU football and basketball.
did they talk about the play they ran at the end of the game when it was the worst player screen I've ever seen in the history of basketball? No. See, here's what you got to do, Sherwood. I respect you. You're fantastic. But damn it, don't blame the officials. When you have a game like that close, there's about 100 or 1,000 different things you could have done differently that could have won you the game.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
Yes, right outside of Dallas, Deep Elam, and the Pecan Lodge barbecue. That place, I mean, to tell you, that place, they're lined up out the door before it opens. I mean, it's just like the hottest place, packed with people. I mean, they serve until they run out, is what they do. And then, I mean, they are top shelf status barbecue. And then Mafia took me to a flea market. And then he took me and got me drunk. Got me drunk in Deep Elam in Dallas. And I couldn't remember the name of it because he got me so drunk. I don't remember anything. I had to have him go back in the Ferrall annals. We keep books of everything that we've done through the years, causing trouble and otherwise, and such erratic behaviors. Here we go, Carver High. That was my guy, Rich Phillips. I haven't seen him in 25 years. I don't think he had a beard when I saw him.
I don't think he did either, but the SMU stuff is pretty astonishing when you think about it, because like he gave you all the numbers about he's jumping from
they don't
group
get
of
any
5
money.
to power. No, they had to pay to join the conference. They paid like $100 million to become members of the ACC, and they don't see any of the TV money, I think, until like their 6th or 7th year in the league. Like they are basically just
9th year,
they bought
10th
their
year,
way
they
in.
get money. 10th year,
10th
now
year they get money.
That is crazy. To me, that's unbelievable. That I mean, it's one thing to pay to be in it. Everyone should pay to be in whatever league. You know, you go into the NFL, you go to the NHL, whatever. But you got to pay to be in this, and then you still don't get any of the profits on TV. You know what's funny? They're so deep pocketed down there, they don't need it. How's that sound?
And look, and think about what it's going to do for them if they somehow get in the college football playoff. I think even just making the ACC title game in their first year would be enormous. I know they ain't beating the Canes. I understand that. And you dropped it in at the end. They spent money for basketball because, you know, Enfield, who was out in USC, and Enfield did a good job at USC with the Trojans. I thought he got them to a couple of Elite Eights, and I know that, you know, nobody was happy with him the last couple of years, but he's going to be a good coach at SMU. I know ACC's got a lot of good basketball teams. They're not going to crack that egg very quickly, but Enfield being their coach is going to be very helpful for them down there in Dallas. So
I agree with that.
SMU's spending some money. Speaking of Dallas, let's go to their NFL team. Jerry Jones said this morning that Dak Prescott will go on IR and miss at least the next 4 games. I gave it to you earlier. Very difficult challenge they're going to have here. They play the Eagles this week. They've got Washington, the Texans, the Giants. So at the minimum, he's going to miss those 4 games. Now, here's Mike McCarthy from yesterday. I got to tell you, Mike's having a rough season, a rough couple days, a rough week, whatever. But you listen to him towards the end of this clip, like he actually makes it sound like he thinks the Cowboys are getting better as they continue to lose games every single week. Here's McCarthy.
Being 3-5, losing your starting quarterback, the Zeke situation, is this maybe your most challenging week that you've had?
This year?
In your time here.
Ever.
Well, I don't know. That's a good question. It's hard. Yeah, it's definitely hard. But yeah, I just think this is the path that's been cut out for us. I mean, we're going through, adversity, and it's a phenomenal opportunity for us as a team. Is frankly,
how is it
what we talked about in the team meeting today. I think the biggest thing for us is, we come out of the bye week, had a really rough game before the bye. Came out of the bye week, thought it was very productive, improved some in our play against San Francisco, had a chance to win the game, took another step, played better against the Falcons. So really the biggest thing is to keep building on what we've done. We answer so many questions, and that's just the beauty of coming in here. It's just so thankful about all the things that we don't do well.
Actually, I think what that all meant in Portuguese is he's getting fired.
I think at the end of the year he'll be chopped. I know we've talked about this for a while.
They can't let it continue. Jerry's not going to have it. It's got to. He's got to show some. Jerry, has fired Jimmy Johnson. He's got to show that he still has it, because he's starting to look old and feeble to me, doing all of his interviews all the time. And that's all that matters. Winning is all that matters. And they don't win anymore.
I don't think he'll fire him in season, but I think that he'll chop him at the end of the year. I think that he'll move on to something else. They are at home this week against the Eagles. And now, of course, with the Dak situation, this has now ballooned to 7. Eagles -7 with a 41.5 total. Now, Mike also mentioned to the press yesterday, outside of that clip, that Cooper Rush actually is 5-1 as the starter when he's filled in for Dak the past couple of years. 5-1, Cooper Rush. I think 5-2 after the Eagles are done with him on Sunday, Scotty. 5-2 after this.
Yeah, as the Eagles fans want to burn Nick Sirianni alive on a stake in the town square by the Ben Franklin Tower, I think that they're going to win that game, because they're playing really good football. They win every week, and the fans aren't satisfied because they're all so stupid. But the reality is they win. I mean, honestly, they are stupid. How do you complain when all you're doing is winning by 20 every week, and you're complaining as if you matter? Like you should be winning every game by 30 or 40. They're so stupid. They really are. They turn on. They've turned on him. They turned on Embiid. Who don't they turn on? I mean, they are something else. And Dallas is a mess. And it's beyond Dak Prescott and CeeDee Lamb. And really, after those two, what do they have besides, nothing? So they're getting beat.
We got Jonathan Mingo now. I got the Mingo man. The Mingo HO baby.
Didn't
there it is.
They
have
a
him.
Mingo man, too?
That was the Mink Man. The fan had the Mink Man. The Mingo Man. We will come back. I have several other things to get in with you, including, of course, the Ravens and the Bengals on Thursday night. We'll start week number 10, and I have the new Saints interim coach, Darren Rizzi. We'll get to hear from him for the first time.
Mike Rizzi.
He's the new man.
Mike Rizziani.
I'll tell you this, like most of these interim coaches, a lot of passion. Maybe he's going to do well enough to keep the job. A lot of passion on Darren Rizzi when you hear him. A lot of it.
Need help with your NFL picks? Get NFL insider knowledge from Pro Football Doc, Dr. David Chow, with Sick Picks at Sports Injury Central. We reveal hidden injury advantages the sports books miss. Our doctors provide insights, and our algorithm tells you who to bet on. Spreads, player props, totals, in-game bets, Sick Picks covers it all. Get a free week now with promo code SportsGrid at SickScore.com.
right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
So, the only thing I want to happen Thursday is for the Bengals and the Ravens to beat each other to a pulp so that the following week the Ravens lose to the Steelers. That's what I want. Now, I don't know if the Steelers will beat the Ravens. I really don't. But if they're beaten to a pulp in this game Thursday night, now they're going to have a lot of days off before the Steeler game. I'll give them that. But they're going to need it, hopefully, because I hope that game is violent and physical and that there's, body parts on the field when it's over, that they're all, banged up.
I mean, it's possible that could happen. I was kind of surprised for a Thursday night game. I mean, this total, I'll give you the numbers in a moment, 52.5. I mean, that makes me think that this game's going to be a track meet. But we could get some hard hits and some physical play. Despite all of that, here's Joe Burrow to start things off with this game. Of course,
Joey Silk,
of course, threw 5 touchdown passes in that win over the Raiders on Sunday, but he really wasn't in the best mood because he says we still got a lot more work to do.
Knowing what's ahead of us, knowing what we're going to have to do to get back into this.
Looks like the tips are gone.
One win isn't going to make or break our season, so I'm going to strive for perfection every day and every game. So, until that happens, what's there to be happy about?
Oh my God, this guy doom and gloom.
Boy,
Let's analyze. I think that the gold tips are gone. It's grown out.
Gone.
Now I got the full Beethoven going here at Carver High, and I'm next week I'm getting it cut, and it's been a month.
Oh wow.
Do you think I should get the Joey Silk gold tips?
Yeah, you got to go gold tips.
Come in
like
here
Joey
with
Silk.
the tiger stripe,
Yeah.
like eye of the tiger.
Yeah, eye of the tiger. Get right in there with the gold tips, just like Joey Silk. I think that's the way to go. Why not? Change it up a little bit of a mixed bag to make things happen for you.
No more salt and pepper.
No more salt and pepper. Go with the gold tips, just like Joey Silk. 6.5.
What?
For the Ravens here in this game
No
at
way.
night. 52.5 is the total. Like I said, a very big total for a Thursday, which usually shades to the home team, as we know with the Ravens.
Can we get a Bengals upset here? Can we get a straight up
And that
upset?
would be great. I'm
'cause-
in for that. I'm all about it. Yeah.
Then I would fear them because I think they would pass them, and it'd be Cincinnati and Pittsburgh's got to play them twice.
Yeah, I mean the Bengals now, that would only get them to 5-5. and the Ravens would fall to 6-4 if that happened. So they would still be a game back of them, but they'd be creeping, like you say, like they'd start to be creeping back into the conversation, which we kind of want them out of the picture, right? I mean, we don't want the Bengals involved either. Get rid of them, especially in January.
I think they're going to win the game. Upset. Here it comes.
Wow,
Thursday
upset.
night.
Here come the Bengals. Plus 6.5, plus 215 money line. I got to think about that over. I still got some time. I got
4 tutties. He'll throw 9 tutties in 2 weeks.
I got 2 days to think about that. I might be in on that over. I gotta dig into it a little bit further on a Thursday night to see if I can go that 52 and a hook. Of course, the Saints chopped Dennis Allen yesterday as their head coach. That means Darren Rizzi, who was their assistant head coach and their special teams coordinator, Mike Ricci. No, Darren Rizzi takes over. Let's hear from Darren his first day on the job.
Listen, they should be pissed off. I'm pissed off. The fans should be pissed off. The people in New Orleans, the people in Louisiana. No one should be happy. And I think this city deserves a winner. They know what winning football looks like. And, it's our job to bring that back. And my message is this. Here's what I can't promise a lot. I can promise passion. I can promise fight. And I can tell you that team's going to go out there every Sunday. And that's going to be clear that we're going to have a team that's full of passion and a team that's full of fighters. That I can promise you. Now, the football's got to get better. The execution's got to get better.
What is this, college?
But we're not going to lack. We're not going to lack those 2 things. We're not going to be boring to watch. That I can promise you.
Yeah, you are.
Oh, you're not going to be boring to watch, he says. Now, that's the typical guy gets the interim job. It's his first time up at the podium, and he's going to be like, I'm going to be that guy. We're going to play with passion. We suck, but we're going to play with passion. I'm going to try to win this job. We're going to play with passion.
What was the guy's name for the Raiders? The bread guy? What do we call him?
Bisaccia.
Bruschetta.
Did they talk about the play they ran at the end of the game when it was the worst player screen I've ever seen in the history of basketball? No. See, here's what you got to do, Sherwood. I respect you. You're fantastic. But damn it, don't blame the officials. When you have a game like that close, there's about 100 or 1,000 different things you could have done differently that could have won you the game.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
So I got to tell you, when I saw this story about Olave, I thought to myself, speaking of guys that are finished, This guy, I mean, my God, how many concussions has he had? He's got to stop playing pro football. I mean, I don't, I am not one of these clowns that sits around listening to guys tell me how they're going to keep playing until they're dead when they have brain injuries. I just, I don't understand it. I cannot believe that the league allows it. I think there should be a limit to how many you can have before you can't play anymore. This guy, you're telling me that he's had his 5th concussion. Every single time the guy gets hit now, he has a concussion and leaves the game. Like, he needs to take a look at his life because it's, ending before his very eyes.
Yeah, he has had in his career now, he had one in 2020 when he was at Ohio State. He had 2022, 2023 with the Saints. And then this year alone, he was diagnosed with one October the 13th against the Bucs. He was evaluated for one on October the 27th against the Chargers. And then he left with that concussion this past Sunday, November the 3rd. So 5, and then 2 this year with one that they thought might have been one, just this season in the past couple of months. Now, the Tua stuff, I think, gets more gas because he's a quarterback, and of that scene with him on the ground a few years ago on the night game where this all, I think that was maybe his first or second one that he got.
Right.
But you're right. Why isn't there as much attention, let's just say, for Olave, who also now is on his 5th concussion? And it's a danger, there should be as much. It should be everyone who gets 5 concussions. I get it. Maybe, the quarterbacks get more gas, but that's serious stuff. And this was also brought on because of Michael Thomas saying that Derek Carr threw the ball in places that get him concussed. Only a couple of those concussions happened.
Wait a minute. All right. Now that changes everything. So you're telling me that his own teammate, is he not on that team anymore? Is he?
Thomas isn't on the Saints anymore.
But
Thomas
that's
finished.
the dumbest thing I've ever heard, that the quarterback throws it to where he gets concussed. That makes no sense to me. Here's the reality of it. You cannot tell me that the NFL isn't talking about, and owners and really, I think Roger Goodell at some level and their lawyers have to be looking at these brain injuries as a possible law in the league. They have to put a number on it. Bottom line, you have 6 of them, you're done. You're done. You can't play in the NFL because the NFL is a 30-mile-an-hour car crash league. It is the most violent league in this country by far. It really is. Would you agree that it's the most violent? It's more violent than the NHL. I really think it is. Yes. I think the NHL has its fair share of brain injuries that they won't admit, but they have fighting still at some level. It's decreased dramatically, but the hitting is absurd. But really, it's not hitting like NFL hitting. And I'm telling you, the NFL at some point, because they've already lost one lawsuit with CTE, they're not going to be immune to more of them. I think that people that are getting brain injuries are going to start suing them, whether it's a civil suit or individually, and they're going to blame the NFL for not doing anything about it.
I agree with you on that. In the NHL, you can sometimes go several minutes without a hit. I mean, there's a body check here, there. NFL, every single time the ball is snapped, someone's getting hit. Whether that's on the offensive line, a player with the ball, anything. Everywhere. Like someone's getting hit every single play in the NFL. I will interrupt NFL for a second here. I have something that came across the Spew News desk.
Spew News.
Which I will give you Spew News for you here for the breaking department. And it's from the NBA, as the league has suspended Joel Embiid for 3 games. 3-game suspension without pay for shoving a member of the media. Joe Dumars announced this afternoon.
I thought it was because of his knee.
No, they have suspended him 3 games for shoving Marcus Hayes at the end of that game last Saturday. And it says here at the bottom of the release that the suspension will commence with the next NBA regular season game for which he is eligible and able to play. So he hasn't played in any games. They can't just go and say, oh, he's ready now. It's the next 3 games while he's still out. They have to wait until, I guess, he's however medically cleared to start serving that 3-game suspension.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that, and, I just have to ask you, Do you think that Marcus feels good about that he wrote a column that made NBA star snap?
I'm sure he doesn't feel
now. Do you think he's happy?
Great about it. I don't think he's happy. I mean, I can't imagine that he just. I mean, we don't know this. I mean, he has to speak for himself. I can't imagine that he just genuinely dislikes Joel Embiid. I don't think that's.
Why did he write about his kid and his brother?
I mean,
what's next?
He mentioned them, of course, in the context of him never playing. Listen, everyone loses here at the end of the day. It sure seems like it. They actually say in the release, while we understand Joel was offended by the personal nature of the original version of the reporter's column, interactions must remain professional on both sides and can never turn physical.
Mike, I think that the other teammates are going to turn on Marcus as well. That'll be the end of any cooperation he gets from the Sixers teams, like players.
It's I would say that that's probably likely. If I had to guess,
he's gonna have a problem.
He's gonna have a problem.
Players aren't gonna
probably
talk to him.
getting anything out of it for a long time or ever. And he's been in that city a very long time. He's been there a long time in Philadelphia. He covered all the teams, columnist. When you're right, probably the players are probably going to take it out on him and Nurse. And I don't think Nurse liked him anyway because some of those clips with Nurse last week was referencing some of him. So it's probably not going to be a good scene for him.
He obviously gets under their skin.
He obviously does. I agree. But is he ever going to play again? Can he start playing? When are we going to get him back out there? Let's go.
I told you, I'm not worried about it when they play for 40 months a year. I don't.
It's true.
Like honestly,
you
don't realize it because the league just started, right? But in about 2 months from now, you're going to want to put your hands in the stockade and have your head chopped off by a guillotine in the town square because. I mean, they play so many games. They bleed into one another. They play back-to-backs. They play 4 times a week, 5 times a week. And eventually, people get sick and tired of it. It's just like, oh, my God, this never ends. It just never ends. They play until July. I mean, it never ends. It really never ends. And then, what do they play? And then Summer League starts. And then, the draft is right after the season and the Summer League. And they never stop playing. And at some level, it really is painful. And listen,
it is.
Let me tell you something else. This chick league with all their air balls, I don't want to hear it. I'm sick of hearing about how great it is when it's just like an atrocity watching a game. I watched that final game. I have never seen. I thought John Starks was bad. I don't care that she hit a logo shot. She can make any shot in the world. She's a great player. But I've never seen anyone go 1 for 19 ever in a game in any level. And she was shooting. I mean, balls were hitting old ladies in the 5th row in the eye. I mean, it was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life. That game 5 of that WNBA Finals I have seen 8th grade girls play better than them. I have. I'm not even kidding. I've seen better 8th grade games than pro chick basketball. And you can hate me all you want. Look at the numbers. They don't lie. It was the worst shooting game in the history of the game. I mean, when they invented basketball, those chicks were playing with baskets, not real baskets. I'm talking about bushels of apple baskets on the side of the bar. It was the worst game ever. I think they played too many games. Not the NBA, WNBA. The NBA plays too many, and the chicks play too many bad games. And I'm right.
Did they talk about the play they ran at the end of the game when it was the worst player screen I've ever seen in the history of basketball? No. So here's what you got to do, Sherwood. I respect you. You're fantastic. But damn it, don't blame the officials. When you have a game like that close, there's about 100 or 1,000 different things you could have done differently that could have won you the game.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I'm ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dog?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
I know we're going to go back to the NFL, but the last thing I want to say about it is this. I've always believed, Mike, if you're not hitting from outside, you do one of two things. Take it inside, or I do not believe in the keep shooting mantra. Like, keep shooting. You're 1 for 19. Keep shooting. How about, pass the ball and screen or take it inside? Like, whatever. Like, I've never seen anyone miss that many shots and not, like, drive to the basket. I don't care if she's a guard. Guards drive to the basket all the time. All day, every day. Every guard I know goes to the 10. Look at Ja Morant. He goes right up into the trees. He's doing 360s. If you're not hitting from the outside, do something else. Play defense, pass the ball, rebound, or go sit down. Like, I keep shooting my ass. Keep shooting. If I were a teammate, I'd be like, listen, honey, honestly, Christ almighty, pass the pill. You couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. All right, Carver High, got it out of my system. I get very frustrated when I see bad basketball. Very frustrated.
I just
see that from me.
I just don't watch. I concern myself. I just concern myself more with things like the worldwide technology open down in Mexico this week with the PGA Tour. I got enough stuff like that on my plate
tequila
than to worry
Mexico, golfing.
Than to worry about these games where they're going 1 for 16 from the floor. I can't have anything to do with it. All right, let me give you a couple other NFL things. Then I do want to move on to the NBA and a few other things. Here's Shane Steichen, of course, head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. He inserts Joe Flacco in this week, and let's just say it didn't go great on Sunday night in Minnesota. Offense really got nothing going. Well, any changes this week for the Colts? No, it's only been one game.
Shane, I know you just mentioned that Joe is your quarterback moving forward. After a performance like that, why and how do you, I guess, just instill belief in this team that he can go out there and get the job done?
Yeah, it was one game. It was one game that he went out there. And again, we got a lot of football left. We got 8 left. We got Buffalo this week, and looking forward to that challenge.
Listen, Joe Flacco's had so many good games in his career. You cannot tell me that he had one bad game and then all of a sudden he sucks because some writer or some TV guy didn't like it and wants him benched. Like, that's just a guy trying to stir it up. You saw that performance. How are you going to possibly play him? Yeah, listen, he's got a Super Bowl ring, idiot. And he also has thrown for miles and miles of great passes. He had one bad game. And look, Famous Jameis, same thing. He was terrible. He's had a lot of good games, 300-400-yard games. And he hasn't got a ring, but guys have bad days in the NFL, man. It happens every week.
It does happen every week, indeed. As that was mentioned there by Steichen, the Bills are coming to Indianapolis this week. That might not be a good thing for them, considering how well Buffalo is playing. Bills minus 4.5 in Indy on Sunday with a 46.5 total.
I actually think Joe will play a lot better than he did on Sunday against the Bills, but I still think the Bills are going to win this game by a touchdown.
I think so as well. Now, the Bills, despite being 7-2, I believe they're only 5-4 against the number. So they've had some wins where they don't cover. But I think that their pass rush has improved the last couple weeks. I think they'll get after Joe a bit, and they should be able to get that game by, like you said, a tutty or maybe even a little bit more. We have been documenting the past few days the miserable past couple weeks that this Eberflus has had. With the Bears. You talk about reporters asking some very direct questions. You just got one there with Steichen. I mean, Eberflus was just dodging arrows left and right yesterday from the Chicago media. I mean, he had nowhere to run and hide.
You say improving team. What exactly is improving right now?
Well, like I said, we had it's not linear. We talked about that. We had 3 wins in a row, and again, there's still good things that we're doing. We're still good with the football. We've been doing a great job with that. We've done a good job of playing, complementary football at times. But again, the last couple of weeks, we just got to make sure that we do a good job of finding answers coming into this week coming up. That's the only week we can't control is this week right here.
Well, don't they have an easy? I think they have an easy game this week against
Patriots
the Patriots
this week.
So
Patriots at home.
Yeah, I think he'll get the last laugh this week, but I think he is, relatively speaking, dead man walking.
They're in a bad way because I think I gave you the schedule yesterday. After this week against the Patriots, they still have to play all 6 games in the division. They got 2 Lions, 2 Packers, 2 Vikings. I think they play the Niners in there as well. Things could get ugly. Just stay under that 8.5 for me. Stay under the 8.5 this season. Minus 6.5 this week, and 38.5 is the total. The good news for them is the Patriots suck, which is a good thing that they have going for them this week.
I think the Bears get real ripe and juicy this week, and I think they put 38 on the Patriots. I think that Caleb Williams will have a good game, and the Bears defense will dominate, and they'll win at Soldier Field going away. But it doesn't mean anything. They're playing the Patriots. So all it is going to mean is a win. And what will they be, 5-4? Aren't they 4-4? I mean,
yes.
You'd think they were walking the plank at 4-4, that their season was over. It's not over. But I think their best hope, obviously, is a wild card. And they would have to win a bunch of games, and they're not going to. So all the talk about the Bears winning the Super Bowl that we had, remember, they were one of the hottest tickets in betting. And, Eberflus was one of the hottest for Coach of the Year. And Caleb Williams was the hottest for Rookie of the Year. And none of that's happening.
None of that is happening, indeed. We're going to spend a lot more time tomorrow and the rest of this week on what I think, and I know you do as well, is the best game is. That's the Steelers at FedEx against the Commanders coming up here this week. The Dump in Landover. I actually think it's not even FedEx anymore, right? Didn't they strip that from the name as well? Commanders Park. -3 for Washington and a 45.5. Did you know Mike Tomlin, 25-6 against rookie quarterbacks. That is the most wins in NFL history against rookie quarterbacks. Make it 26 on Sunday.
Well, they should have lost, right, to the Bears. They barely hung on against the Giants. So, yeah, I think the Steelers coming out of a bye and Tomlin against rookie, I think it's different, but I think the Steelers are going to win the game.
they ran at the end of the game when it was the worst player screen I've ever seen in the history of basketball. No. See, here's what you got to do, Sherwood. I respect you. You're fantastic. But damn it, don't blame the officials. When you have a game like that close, there's about 100 or 1,000 different things you could have done differently that could have won you the game.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
Right here with you on Pro Football Today on SportsGrid. Odds in motion, trying to see what lines have moved throughout the week.
Never felt more comfortable in this set than I do for this year. I am ready. I'm just getting angry. The hot takes are going to be here all long, people.
What in the world is going on in Miami, Dom?
It's not particularly anything to shy away from just because many people are on top of it.
Hot take, hot take.
I think this line is asking you once again to take New Orleans.
Pro Football Today. Only on SportsGrid.
All right, so I told you that cover was going to be hard last night for the Cavs, and it was at 7 because of Giannis not playing. But just the fact that they're undefeated, and now everyone's betting on them, and they think they're going to win every bet every night, and sure enough, they didn't cover, but they won.
They certainly did win. The Cavaliers beat the Bucks 116-114. About an 8-0 start for Cleveland now this year. They are playing great hoops. I haven't gotten to give you any NBA highlights yet this year. And it's one of those days where everyone played last night. There's no games tonight in the NBA. Let's get a few in here. Dame time at the end, close, under 30 seconds to go. Jared Allen says, not in my house. Bally Sports Cleveland.
Lillard will take the 2 here. No, he won't. It's Allen with the rejection.
Oh, what a play. Wow. Lillard goes right at him. Jared holds his ground. Not in this house. Shuts it down.
Do you think Garland had 39 last night? He's been playing his ass off. Do you think that they're legit, like,
no,
because I don't.
No.
So they're 8-0. What does that mean in June? I mean,
it means nothing. Like, it means absolutely nothing. This team we have now watched, it's the same story every year. I mean, they're not beating. They beat any of the good teams in the East. I mean, they lost to the Knicks last year. Was that last year they lost to they lose to these teams Sixers all the time. They're going to lose to these teams when the money's on the table. They're not getting it done. They're just not. I don't believe it whatsoever. It was the Knicks 2 years ago. And then, it is amazing. Who they beat last year? Oh, yeah, they beat Orlando in 7 in the first round, right? They took Orlando in 7 games with them. Then they lost. It's like, they're not a big-time team. So they could start 8-0. They could start 16-1. They could start 22-2.
Right.
It's not. They need to prove it in the playoffs with some deep run with Spider before anybody believes. Warriors beat the Wizards 125-112. Curry's back. Returned last night, 24 points for him. Warriors have looked good. Pistons beat the Lakers. How about that?
Talk about
115-103. Sleepwalking. You're not kidding. Here's Anthony Davis, who did leave the game with an injury. He says he's okay. And he says that the Lakers, I mean, they're like 2 different teams right now.
No. We're just 2 different teams right now. One game. We're this team who we showcase to be one of the better teams in the league. Then the next, we're this team.
God, I'm gonna fall asleep.
I don't even know who we are. So
I mean, it was like he's on heroin. What is happening there? Like, is he on lorazepam? What's happening there? Like, he was falling asleep.
He's very enthused by their play so far this year. Clearly, AD very enthused by their play. As the Lakers have one more game on that long trip, as they'll stop in Memphis tomorrow night. Celtics beat the Hawks by 30, no problems there. The Nets beat the Grizzlies again, 106-104. I did want to mention to you, I know they lost. Like, Edey was awesome last night for Memphis. I know Ja had a couple of great plays as well by the rim. But what did Edey have? Like 16 and 14, I think, or somewhere around there? Like, Edey was excellent.
Yeah, I thought he was going to suck in the NBA. That's what everybody said. He's got no game. Yeah, he's only going to get better.
He said everybody's no good. He can't play in the NBA. I watched a little bit of that last night. He could play in the NBA, that's for sure. Kings beat the Heat 111-110. Here you go. Final seconds. Kings have the ball on NBC Sports California.
Here's De'Aaron working against Larson. Spins, pulls for the win. Comes off. Sabonis for the win. It's in with .7. Timeout Miami.
Yeah, Sabonis getting involved. I watched that starting five, Doc, and he was all over it. He was one of the five, and he's a trip, that guy. And they had all kinds of flashbacks to his dad, Arvydas Sabonis, who was one of the great bigs of all time in the NBA. Man, could that guy pass and play. I mean, he saw the floor like Wayne Gretzky saw the ice. He knew the play before it happened.
He certainly did. One of the all-time greats, that's for sure. Jazz beat the Bulls by 9, 135-126. Not a great effort by the Knicks last night in Houston. They lost 109-97. Just couldn't hit any shots, basically, the Knicks, for the entire second half. Couldn't hit shots.
I had the Rockets in the 3.5 at least.
He will be 2-7 against top 5 opponents in his 6 full seasons with the Buckeyes. Now you're going to take on the road one of the best rush defenses in the country in Penn State. You're already having trouble rushing the ball. So what does that mean, Ben? That means Ohio State is going to have to rely on Will Howard to throw the ball on the road.
The early line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the game starts so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.